Hello, YouTubers. Today I decided that I am going to rank all of the X-Men films that I have seen thus far from best to worst. Now, we won't be looking at any reviews from anywhere or any Rotten Tomatoes scores. This is just my personal opinion on the movies and how I genuinely feel about the X-Men films. Now, also keep in mind this won't include the two Deadpool movies because while they are part of that universe, they are not necessarily X-Men movies. I might save them for a later type of video if I want to score a Deadpool trilogy. Now, if you are finding me for the first time or if you like what you see, then by all means, hit the subscribe button for more videos to come. Alright, so I think we should start at the top with what I think is the best representation of an X-Men movie that was ever created. From my opinion, it's Logan, Hugh Jackman's last hurrah as Wolverine. I just feel that this movie has everything you could have ever wanted in a final Hugh Jackman Wolverine film. The emotions ran so high and low, and it truly showed the story of a man. It really did an amazing job at showcasing the X-23 character, and she was so beautifully done. Daphne Keene's final scene with Hugh Jackman as she held his hand with blood covering his hand, it brought tears to my eyes, and the whole movie is such a sweet movie that is perfect for Father's Day, and that is why I am ranking Logan at number 1. Okay, now we will move into number 2. Number 2 for me would have to be X-Men Apocalypse. For me, X-Men Apocalypse being the very first X-Men movie I have ever seen, I feel this movie did a really good job at showcasing the X-Men as high school teens, similarly to how the TV show X-Men Evolution did it, because many might not realize that the X-Men, they started out as a group of high school teenagers, with Cyclops being a founding member since maybe he was about 16 years old. I just think X-Men Apocalypse truly accomplished giving us the X-Men as nothing more than kids rather than fully accomplished adults. However, that doesn't mean I don't have my criticism. I feel personally that Apocalypse is in general a weak villain, and you cannot get the motivation behind why he's doing what he's doing. Now, we get it. Apocalypse is super powerful, but his reasons you cannot really see clearly. It just makes him look like a typical bad guy. Despite that, what the movie did do very well was showing Jean Grey's vulnerability and showing Scott Summers getting his powers for the first time. It really set up the foundation behind the founding X-Men members, and they did it beautifully, and that is why this is my favorite X-Men movie. Now we are going to be ranking at number 3, which is a tie between X-Men Days of Future Past and X2. The reason why these two are tied at number 3 is because I think they are equal in terms of how good they were and what they wanted to achieve and accomplish. For me, Days of Future Past got me so emotional because at the end of the film, we got a chance to see everyone reunited. We got Kelsey Grammer making a cameo, and when I saw James Marsden and Famke Janssen on screen together as Jean and Scott one last time, it made me cry. Who knew? I feel Days of Future Past, it was just so beautiful, and it truly felt like we were seeing characters like Charles Xavier and Mystique at their finest, and it truly felt like one big family reunion. Now, I will explain why X2 ties with it. X2 ties with it because I feel the film itself did a really good job at picking up where we left off with the first X-Men movie. We truly see more of Wolverine's past with William Stryker as the villain, and we get to see Jean Grey a little more out of control from herself than usual. Sure, I can say this, Rogue, she didn't evolve too much after everything with the first X-Men film, but I can say what X2 did very well was have James Marsden deliver a standout performance that made me tear up twice each time I saw the film. It was when Jean Grey sacrificed herself at the end of the film and we see Cyclops collapsing onto Wolverine, crying his eyes out. Scott at the end of X2 breaks my heart, and it truly shows how Scott and Logan's friendship evolved, and that is why X2 will forever be one of my favorite X-Men movies. Now at number 4, and believe me, I had to really think hard about this choice, but I think at number 4, it has to be First Class. First Class, for me, really showcased the best of the relationship between Charles Xavier and Magneto. It really is a film that shows a foundation between the two and their intellectually based friendship. I just liked the Hellfire Club as the villains, and it really gives you a clear idea of what potentially happened after Mystique joined Magneto. Maybe she and Azazel hooked up and had Kurt Wagner? I really don't know. But I will say that First Class really gave us an idea of how this idea of the X-Men started and how Charles and Eric's relationship started to crumble because of the fact that they both stand for a different side. It definitely is a great movie, and it rebooted the X-Men films, but is it a film that I will watch over and over like I've done with Apocalypse or Days of Future Past or X2? Probably not. That's why I am ranking First Class at number 4. Now at number 5, we have the very first X-Men film. I think the reason why I am ranking it at number 5 is because for me, I feel the first X-Men film really did set up the X-Men trilogy very well, but it did have its problems. For me, while I do not hate Anna Paquin as Rogue, I feel Rogue was portrayed very weak in the first X-Men film. Storm, for me, was kind of weak as well, but I truly felt Halle Berry, she tried her very, very best with very poor material given to her. But despite these issues, it's still a good film for what it is. I think the first X-Men film, despite its flaws, it is a watchable film, and it's not nearly as poor as my next ranking, because it is still an excellent film that gave us the X-Men in live action for the first time on the big screen. And lastly, ranking at number 6 is X-Men The Last Stand. I personally only had to watch X-Men The Last Stand once to realize that this is definitely the weakest X-Men film of all the movies. There were just one too many problems with it for me that I cannot reconcile. I hated the way the Phoenix Saga was done. I hated how Cyclops' death was handled, and I didn't like how characters like Leech and Juggernaut were handled. On top of that, not only was Cyclops' death extremely insulting, but it was placed on top of a questionable scene where Jean, as the Dark Phoenix, seduces Logan and nearly has sex with him when she barely knew him for 10 minutes. I also didn't care for at all that CGI Brotherhood versus X-Men fight scene towards the end. It truly felt like Magneto was holding Jean Grey as the Phoenix back, and she was not allowed to do anything at all until the last possible second. It just looked messy and sloppy, and you can tell that it's a film that's been through 3 different directors with 3 different visions for the film itself. And that is why I am ranking X-Men The Last Stand so low on my list, because it truly was poorly done, even though for me, Kelsey Grammer played an excellent Beast. Alright everyone, now let me know in the comments below, how would you rank the X-Men movies? Do you agree with me or disagree? You can share your thoughts below, and I will be back soon with another video.